saying models are a good thing because it helps us extend our data set and gives us a tool for planning. So, for coastal embayments, what we've been working on is we've selected the hydrologic simulation program from Fortran, which it's not in Fortran anymore. Any of you guys know that's an old language. It's been translated into other more modern languages, but it is a go-to watershed model that deals with freshwater watersheds. And we wanted to link that to an embayment model. And we're thinking of a tiered approach here. The HSPF model for the upland is something that was used in Connecticut in the early 1990s as part of the Long Island Sound program work. So that fed the information into the TMDL. It supported some of the work that was done at that time. But the model that we have then is out of date. We have a lot more information. The model itself on a national platform has been updated. So we wanted to go back to that. We also chose HSPF because we have information in an updated HSPF model for the Pawcatuck watershed, which is one of our shared watersheds with Rhode Island. It's also one of the models that's used in the Chesapeake Bay program, and it's also used in the Lake Champlain TMDL. So it's got, other states, I think it's Minnesota is doing HSPF models throughout all their watersheds. It's a model that is well used, it's well supported by EPA and USGS, and again, it has a history of use in Connecticut for looking at influence on Long Island Sound. So we wanted to build on existing information. We think that this model and this paired model of upstream collaboration to downstream embayments works very well with other Long Island Sound activities going on, like the EPA's nitrogen strategy, nitrogen reduction strategy, and Connecticut's second generation nitrogen strategy. Some habitat work that's been going on. For the downstream model, we're still kind of figuring that out, but our current thinking is that we'd have a tiered approach to picking the models for the embayment. We might use a more complex model for a complex watershed, like the Pawcatuck and Little Narragansett Bay, and we might use a simpler model like the EcoGem model for other embayments. So we're still kind of figuring that out. But we've been putting this into place, and we've been using the Pawcatuck River watershed and estuary as our first demonstration project for this. We've picked the Pawcatuck River watershed and estuary because, one, it's got significant impacts on in the estuary from nutrients from the watershed. We have a very good working relationship with the state of Rhode Island, and they're our partner on this. So this project actually is just a little bit in Connecticut and an awful lot in Rhode Island. But they're a very good partner with us. And when Dr. J.B. Vaudry from UConn was doing her study to evaluate the nutrient loadings and ranking them for different coastal embayments in Connecticut, the Pawcatuck River unfortunately got the dubious distinction of having the highest total load of nitrogen per embayment area. So we thought we had partners, we have some information, we have a need. We're going to start with Pawcatuck as a demonstration project. So right now, our first partners were the Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management and Save the Bay. We have reached out to Wood Pawcatuck Association, and we're still building that coalition. What we were able to do, EPA knew of our interest, and they clued us in on a Southeast New England estuary program grant that people could compete for. So we were able to successfully compete for a fairly substantial grant from EPA through the SNEP program that's supporting the work that we're doing, at least in part, for the Pawcatuck. So I would like to acknowledge acknowledge their support, because without the support from, the financial support from SNAP, we really wouldn't be able to do what we're doing here. So there are two main components for the SNAP part, the funded part for the Pawcatuck. The first one is data collection in the freshwater estuary. We have contracted with USGS to do monitoring at about 14 different locations in the watershed. And this, you see the watershed here, and you've got Connecticut on the left-hand side, and most of it's in Rhode Island on the right-hand side. But it's, again, it's important to have the whole watershed. And they're doing monthly samples for all these different nutrient-related parameters, except for 6 months during the growing season. They're out every 2 weeks, and we have one station where we're doing continuous data collection throughout the whole period. So we're getting, USGS is working with us to get the information that we're going to be able to identify sources and loading in the freshwater part. This is going to form the data set that will go into the HSPF model.